Welcome to Heartland Healing. I'm your host, Michael Brownstein, and it's our pleasure to bring you this television program. Our guest, MoJoPo. He's an astrologer, a columnist for the Reader newspaper, and we're going to find out much, much more. MoJoPo, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. How you doing?
I am wonderful. And you?
So far, so good. I'm an optimist.
Good, good. Well, go ahead.
I'm not quite an expert on astrology. I'm more of a natural. I'm a Scorpio, as you are a Scorpio, and Scorpios need to find where they fit within the cosmic whole to feel centered. You know, it's part of the lessons, each of the 12 lessons of the zodiac. Each sign solves what was lacking in the preceding sign, which creates this rather tight little circle that people have been using to express messages and lessons across thousands of years of time. For example, we're in Libra now, we're moving into Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of death, but it's not the end of the zodiac. It seems as though these wise people of the past were implying that there's more to it, that the first 4 signs are physical, fire, earth, air, and water. The next 4 are mental, fire, earth, air, and water, finishing with Scorpio, the fixed water sign. And then the last 4 are spiritual, fire, earth, air, and water, octaves of understanding. So the implication there would be that what we call physical death is only 2/3 of the trip, which would relate to concepts of limbo and an afterlife and seeing your whole life go in front of you, checking out your karma, because in effect, it's you, the reincarnating spirit, the Ka, who measures and judges the self.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that you're a natural, you know, as opposed to an expert, and it seems very obvious to me that the zodiac in astrology has an intimate connection with nature.
Very well put, yes.
And reflects that. So that'd be perfect for somebody to be an expert if they were a natural. How does astrology tie into our nature as human beings?
Well, it depends. You see, there's 2 types of evolution going on. Like in this entire half hour here, well, I'll constantly allude to astrological parallels. Now, there's 2 modes of consciousness moving forward at all times. The lunar consciousness, which involves these cities and towns and houses and laws and judiciary systems and governing, forming, as the moon is the giver of form. Then, if you care to look, and some choose to, there's also a solar evolution, which we could relate to God consciousness. And of course, it's dependent upon the lunar evolution to spring from, to flower forth from, as all things are. So it's not a denial, it's just a continuous processing, which, if we can go to God consciousness as a metaphor, God consciousness is the flowering of humanity. Now, we can't all be flowers at the same time, otherwise we would wilt in the next day. There has to be, some of us have to be the roots of the project, some have to be the sap, the leaves, the structuring, and then allowing in the proper moment, at the proper time, the flowering. And that flowering can be called God consciousness by this analogy.
If I want to now take the power of astrology and apply it to my life in a very simple way, what can I do beyond picking up the newspaper and reading a generic astrology column?
Set up to the simplest form, which the zodiac is simply the seasons that we experience in the temperate zone, cut into yin, yang, and neutral. Let's see. Aries would be yang, yin, and then Gemini's neutral. Then Leo would be yang, or pardon me, Cancer would be yin, Leo would be yang, and Virgo would be neutral, combination of the 2. Libra would be yin, Scorpio would be yang, Sagittarius would be neutral, and then Capricorn would be yang, Aquarius would be yin, and then Pisces would be neutral. So, each of the seasons, for example, if you want to communicate with a person and they're born in the spring, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, you say, yes, that's new, that's fresh. You know, you speak in terms of sprouting. Okay, if someone has emphasis in their chart in the summer signs, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, then you say, good work, nice job. You know, because we make hay in the summer. You know, that's what the working at. The work and health realms are ruled by Virgo, which is the harvesting of both systems, whatever our crops are, whatever that alludes to, and also the physical health. See, each of these signs also relates to a part of the body, and there's also information there by studying the body. Aries is the head, Taurus is the throat, Gemini is the lungs and the hands, Cancer is the stomach, Leo is the heart, Virgo is the intestines, Sagittarius is the hips, Scorpio is the genitals, the elimination, Sagittarius is the thighs, Capricorn is the knees, Aquarius is the ankles, and Pisces are the feet. Now, that meditation, the more we know the human body and the body as it presents itself throughout the natural kingdom, we can see, when you study astrology, first you study your sign. That's the particular. Step 2, you study all the 12 parts of the zodiac and see how your sign fits in. That's step 2. And step 3, you go back to the particular, which is your sign, but now with the enhanced vision that's offered by the completion of the zodiac.
Okay.
So you start very simply. You study the human body. You study what we're given here. You know, this is some sort of beautiful experiment going on. And to partake of it consciously is to feel your way through it and give more meaning to your expression, which gives more meaning to your life, which is one of the finest fruits of all these studies of the past that have been afforded us by tremendously endowed humans, Pythagoras, Lao Tzu. 36
years you've been studying these things closely. And
plus I'm a natural.
Right, exactly. So
that helps.
So yeah,
the doors are open. I go into second gear right away. I'm not fidgeting around in first gear anymore.
Now this does well for you, you know, because you're understanding, you're relating to this. But I'm Joe Blow. I don't know squat about astrology. Now I can go to a book, I can go to a store, and I can follow your advice that I just heard. First, learn about my own principal sign. Okay, then learn about the cohesion with all the rest of the signs, and then come back to my sign and see how it rotates with those 12. But this could take me a while. What other steps are there? I mean, you know what I'm
further steps. That's the first step. Then the further steps. Find authors who are really genuinely concerned, holy human beings of great spiritual import. Dane Rudhyar would never leave you astray. Alan Leo, Evangeline Adams, which was really ghost-written, from what I understand, by Aleister Crowley, which that's one of my personal studies I'm going to look into there, which is sort of interesting. I'm quite a Crowley fan myself. You know, I love controversy, and I think whenever the next step to anything takes place, it has to be of the controversial fabric. So you know.